cool. Thank you. Obviously, first time that we've ever done this at Edinburgh, but first time a lot of you guys have been in a room doing something like this as well. So, first of all, thank you all for coming down and being part of this. So, this is our first workshop that we're running for the year. We're going to try and get 1 to 2 of these per term. As our message has been, we're here to help develop you guys both as basketballers, but as students. And the thing about that is it's by getting athletes in and people that have had experience and exposure to the places a lot of us want to go, we can share stories and share insight into what it actually takes to get there. So one big part of what we're doing is obviously the on-court skills, the habits, the discipline, the ownership of those, the different things that we're doing there. But the other part is the classroom and making sure that we're helping you guys become better people as well, because that's what sport is about at the end of the day. It's a vehicle for helping us in life outside of everything else. So thank you all for coming to our first workshop, and then special thank you to Dill as well. So a little bit of background on Dill for those that don't know. He's played all over the world. He was actually a D3 athlete in the States, which he'll share some stories about that as well. He's been in the NBL, so he's been at both, where have you been? You've been United and Cairns was most recent.
Yep.
He's played in Luxembourg. Where else have you played?
Ireland.
We've got a couple of our Irish interns here today, Team Ireland. So for those who haven't met, Keane is also my other Irish intern, so you guys can get to know him as well. But yeah, he was a D3 All-American. He's currently playing Kilsyth NBL 1. Has been a massive part in the culture shift on that team and adding some really big value to that team as well. So probably the biggest thing we haven't mentioned yet is Dill is currently the captain of the 3x3 team for Australia, the Kangaroos. So Dill's actually term 1 being like the big 3x3 term of what Basketball Victoria are driving. It was only fitting that we got Dill in as our first ever workshop to share some of his experiences about the 3x3 world and what it takes to be a pro, essentially. So what we'll do is we'll sit here, myself and Dill are just going to have a bit of a conversation. For all of you guys, listen, learn, lap it up. It's not every day that you get the opportunity to sit and actually experience something like this. Yeah. So make sure that we're listening intently and we're taking something away from this. At the back end of our interview with Dill, we're actually going to break into some small groups, and we've got a couple of themes that we want you guys to go and talk about, relevant to what Dill's been talking to you guys about today. So make sure we're paying attention, because then when we split off into our groups, you're going to be talking about those themes and then coming back and presenting to your peers, everyone that's in here. Dill was going to stay for that, but his partner Emma Clark is due to get up to Bendigo tonight for what do they got? The team awards night?
Yeah, awards night. Yeah.
So on the clock, as soon as Dill leaves here, they're actually in the Bendigo team bus driving straight up. It's just him and Emma. Emma's driving. They're going straight up to Bendigo for their awards night before they're in the WNBL playoffs as of, was it Thursday was their first game?
Yeah, that perfect.
So there's just another side of being a pro. It's all about being able to balance your commitments, right? Dill's here for you guys today. Second he leaves here, he's got to go scrub up, suit and tie on, and head to an awards night in Bendigo. Did I miss anything on my introduction there, Dill?
No, I think you covered a bit. Yeah, it was good. Appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think a good place for us to start is just telling myself and telling the guys here a bit about your basketball journey.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you guys for having me, and and thanks Sean for all that you do. I know he does a lot for me. I'm sure you guys are starting to learn, the work ethic that comes with SRA and Sean. So I'm appreciative of it. So thank you. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways and places to start in my basketball journey, but I'm from Virginia. I was born and raised in the States. A very, very small town in Virginia, similar to Lilydale, I'd imagine, actually. But there's no Melbourne that you're close to. You got to go 3-4 hours before you get to the next big city. So real small town. I played, basketball, football, baseball growing up. I loved my sports. And in high school, I went to a really big high school. And, I was fortunate enough to, play, make the basketball team and play on the basketball team. I didn't really find my success on the basketball team until my senior year of high school. So a lot of high school, a lot of my high school journey, I was, very present and fortunate to be on the team and enjoying the process. I wasn't looking ahead too much. I didn't realize like the potential that could be there. My senior year, I started to have some success, my 12th grade year. And I didn't have any college scholarships, so there were no like colleges that were like, hey, come play basketball for us. That wasn't the reality for me. My brother my older brother, he went to university before me, and he came back and worked at that university, and he convinced me to go to that school. Well, he convinced the school to accept me, vice versa, for the basketball team. So, I was able to have that, a bit of a, I was very fortunate to have, a big bro look out for me in a moment when I didn't really realize the potential. And yeah, I got into the school, took some extra summer school classes to get eligible, you know what I mean? And then when I get into the university, I found out how much I loved school. I fell in love with the school just as much as I did the basketball there. I realized like your environment, your peer group, the people you spend time with can play a huge factor in how you view things such as school and sport. And I was undervaluing both. And when I changed my environment, a light like came on for me. And I began training really hard, studying really hard. And, I fell in love with the process of being a uni student and a uni basketball player. With that being said, I still, just like high school, I was delayed in my success, so to speak. How many of you guys play on your sports teams and you start on your sports teams? Like, some of you probably experience a lot of playing time, a lot of opportunity on those teams.
That was a hand-up question, by the way.
Yeah, that's a hand-up, sorry. So, and regardless, whether you start or don't start, like, that meant a lot for me when I was younger. I didn't realize, just because I'm not starting, that doesn't mean I'm not just as important, part of the puzzle as anyone else. And that's something I discovered later in college as well. So I played Division III, which is technically the lowest division of college sports. I only started in Division III. I only found, my leadership role in the team that one season. And it was my last year of university. So, and a player in front of me got hurt and opened up the opportunity for me. And, I was ready. I'd been doing a lot of training. My brother made me do twice as much training as everyone else. When the opportunity presented itself, I was Conference Player of the Year and All-American. I had one breakout year. And with that being said, it's still Division III. So no one goes from Division III to being professional. That's not like a scope that a lot of players have. It's not really that realistic in the basketball world. So I had I started doing some research on Facebook, trying to find some agents who could help me go play overseas. I found one who made some promises, empty promises. It didn't work out. I had another friend suggest we do a tryout for a team, and if we do the trial, we make the team, then we get to go to Australia. So we went to Indianapolis, which was like a 6-7, that's crazy. It's honestly, I kid you not, that actually before 6-7 was a fad, it was always a 6-7 hour drive from Pittsburgh to Indianapolis. So before it was cool, I was driving 6-7 hours. So we drove to Indianapolis, we did the workout and made the team. And I look at it now and I realize my friend, I think he needed me for a ride, to be honest, because he didn't have a car, he didn't have his license at the time. He was convincing me we need to do it. We went there, we had a lot of chemistry, we looked out for each other, we made each other look good in this tryout. It wasn't easy. And we made the team. We did a GoFundMe fundraiser to raise some money for the flights. We took one-way flights over here and tried out for some basketball clubs, and yeah, and 10 years later, I've been playing professional here and overseas. So that's a quick snap of my journey.
Yeah, cool. So obviously we've just gone on about college, high school. We spoke about being a starter. When was probably the first time you were actually a consistent starter? How old would you have been? What year?
My 12th grade year.
Yeah. So year 12, grade 12 was the first time Dill actually became a starter. So a lot of kids and a lot of athletes look at, I need to be a starter now. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone's on their own different journey, right? And same as like what Dill was saying there, like, we all develop at different rates, we learn different things, we participate in different ways, but it's about your own journey, right? And how you can contribute to the team. Whether you're a starter or a bench player not getting any minutes, like, you got to be able to find a way to contribute. a lot of these kids want to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of knowledge and experiences can you share from your college experience?
It's hard work. It's really hard work. You're thrown into the deep end early with time management. Between you got to wake yourself up. You got to make sure your alarm is right to give you enough time to get ready for class. Sometimes you'll leave, at 6 in the morning, and between 2 or 3 classes plus a training and a lifting session, you have to be prepared for all of that, and not just get there and do it, but you got to be the best version of yourself for all of those things. So you learn a different, responsibility and accountability to yourself. But the cool thing about university is in the States, for the most part, we all stay on campus together, right? Like, it's a little different in Australia. I know a lot of people commute. In the States, you're living on campus. You end up forming, a bond that you'll have for life with people who are around your age, and you're all just trying to figure out accountability together. So it's actually it's a beautiful thing. And I look back onto that time now, and those are some of the best learning moments you could ever have. But accountability is the big one, and being the best version of yourself every day, not just surviving Wednesday, surviving Thursday, and trying to be good for your Friday exam or your Friday game. I got to be great. I might have an exam on Wednesday. I might have a game on Thursday. I might have a presentation on Friday. And it can sound scary at first, and then you hit this rhythm, and you have a sense of pride in your ability to prepare. And who you surround yourself with becomes ever so more important.
Do you have any stories that you blatantly remember of being held accountable at college?
Oh yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot, especially as a college athlete. Like, the repercussions are heavy for not being accountable, like extremely heavy. It's not right. It's actually crazy, but but it's cool. It's fun. You're doing it with a band of brothers, band of sisters. But there's a time where, there's one where we were late for our training session, our practice, and only, it was 2 players who were late, but they're roommates. So we kind of figured they just overslept. But the coach, as we're warming up, he's asking a few of us where they are, and we're like, we don't know. So then as the practice is about to start, he tells us, okay, we all need to go get them. And get them, if they're in that room, check on them, find them, and then bring them to practice. So it's like 6 a.m. We're already in our practice jerseys. It's snowing outside. It's freezing, and we're in our basketball shoes, and he just tells us to just go go get them. So we're running across campus, it's like 10 of us in our practice jerseys and basketball shoes in the snow, mind you. And we run across campus. We get to their room. We can't get into our dorm because you need a fob, right? So we're trying to get to their window. They're on the 2nd floor. So we're throwing sticks and snowballs at the window and calling them, of course. So amongst the commotion, they wake up, they look out of the window, and actually I felt bad for them. I feel as bad as it was for us, their heart would have been, it would have dropped, as you'd imagine. So they hustle, they come down, and then once again, we're like a platoon jogging across the campus. We get back and we practice. And then the coach tells them the next morning, they have to wake up early and meet him on the football field at 5 a.m. because practice is at 6. So whatever repercussions they have is going to be at 5 a.m. So we meet on the football pitch, and it's icy cold, and they're doing bear crawls and army crawls on the field, just creating toughness, I suppose. But I was talking to one of those teammates recently, actually, and I said, "Have you ever been late for a practice since then?" And he was like, no, and he's a pro now as well. So it's learning in a tough way, but it's memories like that now. I laugh at it and I chuckle at it now, and now he's a professional, and he's definitely, the repercussions aren't the same when you're a pro, but those learning moments make you, a bit stronger.
So that almost falls in perfectly with our senior group when we pulled you in at the end of training on Monday. I think the key word that Luke used was urgency, right? You guys have been let off pretty nicely right now because we're in a transition period of what we're doing, but the session Monday morning for the seniors there was nowhere near enough urgency. And when you go to college, when you become a pro, those not having that urgency becomes magnituded. It compounds, right? So the coaches have let you off pretty lightly of people rolling in late, not having the shoes on. If practice starts at 6 a.m., what time are you getting there?
You're in the locker room. You're on the court ready to fully go by 6 a.m. So, you'd probably be heading to the locker room or in the locker room by maybe 20 till, 15 till maybe.
So siren goes for us at 7 a.m. and 7:45. You guys get plenty of time to sleep in. Siren goes, we should be in our huddle talking about what our first drill is, or like the juniors did, they were ready to go on the sideline, had the balls ready to go, snap into it, right? Like that's what we mean by creating a sense of urgency. And it's important for individual success and team success. And it's not just about that training session, it's about everything else that comes with it. So we'll fast forward a little bit. We've spoken a little bit about your history, your playing background, college. You came across, you played in Ireland, Luxembourg, came across to Australia. I'm going to skip through a little bit and I'm going to jump straight to playing in the NBL. Tell us a little bit about that and your experiences in the NBL.
Yeah. I've had a different experiences. So my first one with Melbourne United, I was actually a King Club, Sandringham. I was playing for McKinnon, playing Big V, and I was shooting on like court 2 with one of my teammates from McKinnon, and Melbourne United were having their preseason runs on court 1, and it was very early preseason, so they would have a few American imports playing second and third division come join them. Some of the great local talent come playing as well, and they asked us if we wanted to join the little preseason run. It was literally just a scrimmage. And I didn't expect it at all, but we went over there, and I can't lie, I was going crazy. It was real fun. I was dominating. And completely unexpected. That probably allowed me to be a little more relaxed as well, because I didn't anticipate that to happen. But it was good enough so that they invited me back. I ended up going into the regular season with them as effectively a training player. And then because I was still an American citizen at that point, I wasn't an Australian citizen, so I couldn't play on the roster as a local, but one of the imports got hurt like right before the season started. And, I still remember like it was yesterday, Dean Vickerman, the coach of Melbourne, called me and was like, how do you feel about suiting up and playing in our opener against Perth? And it was their banner night in Perth as well, so it was going to be sold out. And, I couldn't believe it. I was coaching at the time. I was coaching individual at like Bentley Secondary in the morning when he called. And I was like, yeah, you can count me in. I'll be there. And went over, played in that game against Perth. Played 17 minutes. It was like my first ever game. It was lights out. And I played well, and that was just about the peak of my NBL career, more or less. So that one game, I played well, had tons of fun. Played against a really good team. Had a few NBA guys on that team, and but then from there on, I was a part of the Melbourne United culture. I was on and off with the club for 2 seasons. I won a championship. I played 13 games with them in a year. They won the championship. They had like Big Joe Twill. They had Jock Landale, who's in the NBA now. Jack White. It was such a good team. Chris Golding, long-haired Chris Golding back then. So, he was an assassin, great shooter. And we had a lot of fun. I was able to win a championship. I got to see and feel what it was like for everyone to be responsible for their part in the journey. And winning a championship at that level is like all the hard work and sacrifice. Like you can feel it in everyone's like emotion when the final buzzer goes off. It's unbelievable. Fast forward, I also played with Kansas Taipans, and we were possibly one of the worst teams in NBL history. We were like we were 2 games away from having the worst record ever. And I remember it got to a point where before one of the games, Coach Ford was like, "Hey, let's just not be the worst team in history." That was like literally how he said, just onto the court, and we won that. That was the game we finally got off our back. So that was a good experience, though. It was my first full roster, and living in Cairns is a whole different thing. Living in far north Queensland is a whole different world than living in Melbourne. But I loved it. I loved training. We got after it every day. I played with Taron Armstrong, who was an unbelievable player, and yeah, I got to experience a championship in the NBL. I got to experience one of the worst seasons in the NBL, but but both of them were like learning experiences, and so grateful for both of them. And that sprungboarded me into this most recent one with Cairns, which is just last year. That sprungboarded me into the 3-on-3 opportunity as well. So you never know what's on the other side of these journeys when you begin them.
I could ask questions for days on the NBL, on all of this, but it's probably a good springboard into the 3x3 stuff, because that, as you said, like BV, term 1 is all about 3x3. That's the way they've set their pathways up. Hence why we brought Dillon, because who other than the captain of the current Australian team to share some insight into the game. But that's our main theme for today. So do you want to talk a little bit how you actually got into 3x3?
Yeah. Well, first, like, who here is like, I mean, I know you guys have some experience with your 3-on-3 and your 5-on-5, but who can, like, name something that's different that you experience as a player in the 3-on-3 versus the 5-on-5?
12-second shot clock.
12-second shot clock. Really good. That's awesome. What else?
Take it out of the ring and just go.
Yeah, taking out of the ring and just going. Yeah, that's right. And clearing through the 3-point line, right? And anything else?
Only one foul shot, not 2.
Yeah, only one foul shot, exactly. So 12-second shot clock instead of 24, right? One free throw instead of 2, taking it out of the net instead of out of bounds. So all of those equate to a faster paced game, like point blank period, fast, right? And the cool thing about it, I've always felt like when I was in the NBL, sometimes I would get in my own head, just being honest, and like, we're all human. Sometimes when I would prepare, I could find myself over preparing and thinking of all the different scenarios and things that could happen. And I've prided myself on being like an instinctual basketball player where, in a bang bang second, I feel really confident in decisions. But the more time I have to make a decision, sometimes when I put pressure on myself, like, it can equate to bad things. I can throw a turnover, or I can like miss somebody who's open. So when I started playing 3-on-3, and it came about because my coach for Cairns, who, I had a club option. What a club option means is at the end of the season, they can pick up the contract for you for the following season, or they can release you. And, it's professional. You have to be professional. These things happen every season. So at the end of the year, Coach Ford released me into free agency. Basically, it was like, we don't see you being a part of the team next year. And I was like, okay. He then gets hired for the 3x3. And a month after releasing me, he calls me and is like, hey, would you be interested in playing for the Australian team? I just got selected as the coach. And it's also one where you realize, like, okay, regardless of the outcome of whatever team you're playing on, or whatever class, schoolwork you have, what was the process? Like, how genuine were you building the relationships? How much did you show your commitment? And I realized, like, maybe, some of the small things that I didn't know at the time were actually creating, accountable like demeanor towards Coach Forty that would trust him to ask me that. So, and he probably also saw in me, hey, you can make some instinctual decisions, like, because sometimes you just say, forget the play, and I'm just going to find a way to make some opportunity for myself, for others. And it ended up being my best asset in 3-on-3. So to all of your points, like, it's a fast, quick paced game. And he called me 2 weeks later. I was in the States at the time, relaxing, hanging out with my family. And he goes, hey, I need you to be in Bangkok, Thailand in 2 weeks, playing for Australia in a game that I hadn't really played before. So, like, instantly, we talk about, our weightlifting and preparing mentally and physically for sport. And we've had a lot of conversations about what does it mean when you get 2 weeks before one of the biggest opportunities you could ever have. Well, how do you approach that physically and mentally? So, like, that's something that I look back now and I found a lot of gems in, and we've discussed that now and re-preparing for that again. So, stone into the fire, and I had a good. We finished third, and basically what would be the World Cup practice match. We finished third. We beat USA twice. We lost to Serbia in overtime. We were the best clubs in the country. Yeah, we finished third. We're best clubs in the world. Finished third.
So I think in extension of, we're talking about Dill being here today, but then also he's heading straight up to Bendigo for the awards night for Emma's WNBL team. But the other layer we didn't mention at the start is he literally jumped off a plane late last night to come straight to this. So you talk about being a pro, you talk about wanting to go to college, make the most of all these opportunities. Like, it's just go, go, go. And same thing there of the habits, the discipline, the things that you're doing now, you never know when you're going to get a call up.
Yeah.
So, Dill, like what we do in the gym, like every quarter, every 3 months, we sit down and we look at our goals. We set our long-term goal, which is anywhere from 1 to 5 years. And then we set our short-term tangible goals that we can work towards that each quarter. So then Dill gets a phone call out of nowhere of, hey, I need you in Bangkok, or there's this NBL opportunity, or whatever it is. Like, he's already putting in the work. So then that 2-week period before he flies overseas, we've put in the base. So now we're just adding that little cream on the top, right? But if you're not preparing for that, you're not doing the right things early, like you're not going to be ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to talk a bit about being the captain of the Australian team and what that means to you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like when I was doing the GoFundMe to come to Australia, I wasn't planning on being the captain of like a national team. You can't have a scope for things as such. But at the same time, I've always prided myself on being ready when opportunities would present themselves. And when we played in Bangkok, we had the Asia Cup, 2 weeks later in Singapore, and we won the Asia Cup. We beat China, and the game in 3x3, it's first team to 21 or highest score in 10 minutes, and we beat China 21-20. And we were down 17-19, which is significant in 3x3. Down 17-19 is like, it's looking, really bleak. They make one 3-pointer or one 2-pointer, it's over. So we came from behind, we won. And yeah, at the end of, or halfway through that tournament, at the end of Bangkok, we all sit down as a group, and I've been captain. I was captain of my college team my last year, and I was captain of the McKinnon team, and now captain of the Australian team. But I kid you not, I mean it when I say, like, I've never really saw myself as a captain. I don't think of myself as the captain of the Australian team. Like, I genuinely feel like I couldn't be more grateful just for the opportunity to even play on a team like that, whether it's an NBL team or an Australian team or even NBL 1. Like, I just have a lot of gratitude for it. So when it was time for us to choose captains, there's only 4 of us. So it's not like we just vote and put it in a box. We're just having a conversation with the coach, and I chose someone else, and then everyone else chose me, and I almost thought that they were joking at one point. So you never really know what impression you're leaving on other people. The best thing you can do is just be the genuine best version of yourself. Don't try to be someone you're not. I think being a genuine friend, brother or sister is the best thing you can be for your team, because they'll feel that genuineness, they'll trust you, and when you get that real trust from your teammates and your friends, that's when you all become the best versions of yourself. So it just kind of happened, and yeah, I just feel really honored, really honored.
It comes back to what Dill said about 40 of, at the end of the day, it's business, right? So he gets cut from Cairns, but his actions, the things he did prior to that, obviously he's got some genetic talent there as well to be a great 3x3 player, but he didn't burn the bridge. Yeah. So it's a shake hand, it's a thank you for your experience, thank you for my time in Cairns. And then, as he said, not even a month later, he gets a phone call of, hey, here's another opportunity. So it's not burning those bridges, and it's being genuine to who you are and to the people around you, because you never know. Everything always comes around, right? A perfect example there. Yeah. I've got notes on the Quarter Cup final versus Spain. Was that from Thailand? What was that?
That was the World Cup in Mongolia.
So do you want to talk? I remember we spoke about that. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we also, after playing Champions Cup, Asia Cup, also, was on the team, got selected for the World Cup as well. Changed one player out. I wasn't that player, fortunately. So then made it to World Cup. I never thought I'd be in Mongolia, once again, another thing just happens. And, we did well. We beat Belgium. We beat Serbia in the World Cup, and Serbia is the world #1. It was the biggest win in Australian 3x3 program history. So we took a lot of pride in it. It was amazing. It was unbelievable highs, but maintaining the level you're at and being prepared for the next game is most important, because then we went on to play Madagascar, who we were heavy favorites against, and we barely make it out. I have a bad turnover late in the game. they had an easy layup to beat us and they just missed it. So, you know, the game can happen fast. But then here comes the quarterfinal and against Spain. And they were like, you know, they were ranked at the time, I think 5th, and we were ranked like 15th or 16th or something like that. So this would have been an upset, but we're playing one of the best teams in the world. And it's the biggest game you could ever have. This is the quarterfinal. You win this, you know, you're on to semis and you have a chance to win a, you know, world championship for your country. So like, you know, it's intense, like the build up for the game, you know, we're getting ready for it. And then we talk our coverages, we switch the coverages up a little bit. And when the game starts, it probably lasted about like maybe almost 5 minutes. It's the quickest game of 3-on-3 I've ever played in my life. And it was bad, like bad for us. It was like it was like a blitz. It was like a storm of 3-pointers, slip cuts, pick and rolls, hook passes, just beautiful basketball that we got to watch up close. And we were on the back end. We were on the back end of the score by the end of the game really quickly. So, I had this conversation with Sean about how you can be prepared for something. The build-up can feel great. You have the biggest opportunity you could ever have, and it could everything could hit the fan quick, and all of a sudden you're on your back foot, and then the game's over. And honestly, my heart was still racing. I still had the adrenaline release like I was playing in a basketball game, but I'm back in the hotel at this point. You know, the game lasted 4 minutes. It's 15 minutes later, I'm already back trying to figure out how we got eliminated. So, you know, sport is a funny thing. You know, how do you bounce back from that? How do you recover from that? How do you try to do your best to make sure you get another opportunity and stuff like that? Like, that's the sign of like a pro. You know, and as I've played pro now for, you know, a decade, I've lost a lot of playoff games. I've won a lot of playoff games. And I've won a championship. I've been on the worst team. You know, how you bounce back and how you prepare for the next one to be the best version of yourself. Like that's how you show signs of you're a next level player. So, yeah, we got blitzed pretty bad by Spain. It was pretty crazy. They went on to win the world championships though, which made us feel better.
So I think every moment there's an opportunity. Every day there's an opportunity. And I think the best of the best, we haven't spoken too much on it yet, but like reflecting on your day, reflecting on your training session, but then even in more depth during the game, during a free throw, after a possession, like you got to be able to have that subconscious nature to be able to reflect and learn from what happened, move on to the next play. It's that next play mentality, right? And I think 3x3 forces you to start learning that very quickly, because if you're hanging on the turnover or deflection or missed shot, like the ball's already been cleared and they're already scoring a bucket. So that's where the value of 3x3 comes into 5-on-5 and your own individual development as well. Which probably gives us a good segue. Do you want to talk a bit about the 3x3 game and how it's grown and kind of where it's heading at the moment from your experiences? Yeah,
if I were you guys, like I would get into 3x3 like now. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, I play on the team, you know, I have no skin in that game. My advice is simply because of the opportunities that are going to be presented, you know, over the next decade in the sport. So you have to think it became an Olympic sport, you know, 2 Olympics ago, Tokyo, and then it was in Paris, and, you know, LA 28 and Brisbane 32. And just for a bit of insight, you know, first from a sporting perspective, if the sport becomes an Olympic sport, you get a new level of investment. This is how it works, you know, financially. So like, if your country is going to invest money into a sport, then it's going to create more opportunities. There's going to be more leagues. There's going to be more opportunities to showcase your skill set, more opportunities to go overseas. You know, I just took a couple of my Kilsyth teammates. We just got back yesterday from Korea. We were invited to a tournament in South Korea to just play in a private league. We played against some of the best players in the world, and that opportunity was just presented because, you know, Korea is willing to pay for flights. You don't have to fly a whole team over. You just got to fly over, you know, 4 players and 2 staff people. So you fly 6 people, you get, you know, the hotel will provide accommodation for you if it's sponsored. And, you know, we got to make a trip of a lifetime. It was one of the Kilsyth guys, his first time overseas. So really, really cool pop-up opportunities where you play in these stadiums all around the world you never imagine. I never imagined I'd go to Mongolia, You know, I never thought I would be in Korea, you know, just most recently. So not only can it take you overseas, but the coolest part about it, especially for all of you guys' development, you know, not as just young athletes, but as young people, your ability to get over mistakes, your ability to like have this engagement and presence on the court. Like even right now, think about it. Like you're in this room, you know, you're listening to us, and you know, we're going back and forth a bit. But for some of you, I'm sure you're like locked in and very engaged and very present. And for some of you might be going back and forth between how engaged you are in this moment. It's a challenge for younger people, younger athletes. But one of the best things you can do is be as present and take in as much from that moment that you can. And whatever you can, whatever you walk away with will be what you walk away with. But give yourself the best opportunity to walk away with some good tidbits that will help you learn and grow. And in 3x3, you got to get over mistakes, and you learn quick, fast, and in a hurry with a small group. You talk about it after, and then you play another game that same day. So like 3x3 is a great like example of getting over mistakes and being present that applies to real life. Like, and I know it sounds crazy, but for someone who's living that right now, I promise you, like, it's one of the best things that you can have is that ability.
Who can tell us what being present actually means? You guys are answering every other question.
Surely.
Yep.
Living in the moment.
So what does that mean to you?
I know you could like, instead of like dwelling on the past or like going into the future too much, just going like with the flow and everything, doing everything to your best ability in the time that is present.
What does that mean to you, boys?
Absolutely.
I suppose it means like, yeah, kind of what like Harry said, you know, staying on things that are happening now, not focusing on things that could happen or happen.
Cool. What do you got, Jess?
Like control what you can control in the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love that one. Avi Myerson, who trains with Avi. Yeah, control the controllables is one of his big phrases, he says. But that's true for everyone that's at the pro level. Control the controllables. It's Gary Ayres. Does everyone know who Gary Ayres is? Ex-AFL legend, the best on in the grand final award is named after him for AFL. I was only on the phone call to him yesterday, and he's talking about doesn't matter what sport it is. He's been at the best. He's spoken to the best in basketball, the best in football, the best in rugby. Across all the codes, it's the same messages from the top down. So controlling the controllables, being present. If you ever get lucky enough to make it to the top like Dill has, like these are the messages that they will deliver, and it's the things that keep them true to what they're doing in the moment. So I think being present is a really important thing to understand. And as Dill said, it the younger you are, the harder it is to actually be present. But it's something you can train. The way you train your body, the way you train your jump shot, you got to be able to train your mind as well. It's the most important thing we haven't even touched the surface on yet. But the best are all training their mind as hard, if not harder, than what they do on the court, in the weight room. How do you practice being present, and how do you train your mind?
You know, my brother used to tell me all the time, and you know, I'm fortunate that I had him as like a guardian angel, you know, so to speak, growing up. But because we have an 8-year age gap, so he's way ahead. Growing up, he was way ahead of anything I could fathom, and he would always tell me like, you know, who you are, like, as my little brother, who you are as a basketball player, who you are as like an athlete, a young person, is who you are is what you do when no one's watching, right? So in my mind, I'd always be like, okay, well, if I'm training like this hard when no one's watching, like how hard will I go when like a coach shows up or someone else is on the court with me? So I've had this like thing growing up where I've held on tight to an idea of like not being the harshest critic to myself by any stretch, but like holding myself to like a standard of how locked in or how like I would rather have 1 hour or 45 minutes of training as hard and disciplined as I can and on court, or as hard and disciplined as I can in the weight room for a shorter period of time than like spend a long time just going back and forth about whether I'm going hard or whether I'm not, or hanging out with friends, hanging out or not. Like if you want to just play pickup with your friends, that's a separate thing, and that's perfectly fine too. But don't mix and match that with like a training element. That's having fun and growing your love for the game. But when it's time to like building blocks to what would be a future if that's what you desire in the sport, then there needs to be like hard yards that are done that you hold yourself accountable for. You know, a parent, a friend could tell you, hey, meet me in the gym at this time. And if you're kind of like, hey, okay, whatever, you're probably not going to get the same amount out of it as you would be like if you had excitement for it, engagement for it, and you were just as ready as that parent who woke you up or the friend who called you. If you're just as ready, you get more out of it. So, yeah, just having that amount of presence, I would say. Like I've always kind of had that when I was younger. And as you get older, whether you're really young or old, or like you both can kind of have a bit of a fall off. I'm at a point now where I find a little bit more peace with being in the weight room, being around people who are putting in that extra work. I get a lot out of that now as well as putting in the work. So you will find different elements and different degrees as your journey goes.
So being a pro for over a decade now, what sort of things are you currently working on with your body, with your mind, to keep yourself sharp, so to speak?
Well, things happen. Like in the last few years, I simply just can't jump as high as I could before. And I like had real bounce. Like, you know, I was going East Bay, I could go through the legs, all that. But I definitely can't do that now. You know, it's just being realistic. So also, my game physically, these are physical elements. My game was built a lot more on my athleticism. You know, I'm now on the court and people are like flying around. And I'm like, oh, like I could do that just a few years ago. It's going to take a lot more for me to do that now. So I changed my jump shot fully 3 seasons ago. I changed my jump shot, like just full change. I just started using the shooting machines at Hoop City and completely changed my jump shot. I had to put on way more bulk and way more mass to be stronger, more solid, where I can win those battles without, you know, using my speed. So physically, I had to make real adjustments to really change my game just to create longevity in the game, or else the game will leave you. You have to change who you are as a player sometimes. You have to evolve. And it may seem like a daunting task, like that's impossible. It's very possible. And that's physically. Mentally, I've just, you know, I've just found myself in more leadership positions. So now, when I told you earlier, like, I have so much gratitude for being the captain of teams that I'm on. I have so much gratitude for people looking up to me, but also realize it is a responsibility as well. So, you know, I've always loved building relationships with my teammates and friendships with my teammates, but, you know, I'm a little more conscious with it now, a little more responsible with being in those positions. So, you know, I don't take them lightly. So, you know, who I am as a teammate has changed mentally, you know, being more responsible, and who I am as a basketball player and as a professional physically, I've had to make real changes. So, you know, yeah.
So similar to Luke, like Dill is still very a pro athlete. Like that is priority number 1, 2, 3, and 10. But being a pro only lasts for so long, so you got to start looking at other avenues, which is why like we're driving the fact that you guys need to be passing your grades, your attendance rate with not only what we're doing in the academy, but also school. Like basketball is only a very small window of what you're doing, and if you can't hold yourself to those standards and be able to pass your grades, find the other things you love outside of the sport, like once your career is done, like you could, I mean, Gemma Potter is one that is going to come in later this year, and she's going to talk about her journey, which is she's done 3 ACLs now. Angus Glover, 3.5 ACLs. Like that's a pretty significant portion of their pro careers, right? If they don't have, or if we don't have anything else outside of sport, like what's going to happen when our careers come to the end? So I think one thing I missed at the start, but we'll talk about now, is Dill's kind of in amongst traveling everywhere, going to Bendigo, coming back from flights from Thailand and Hong Kong and everything else. Like he's also starting his own business now as well, which so Bridge Talent Management is you've only just started that in the last month, 2 months. But do you want to talk a little bit about what you got yourself and Anthony are doing?
Yeah, you know, I know we've talked about, you know, as the athlete, as a performance professional, but I also have started a business, and I've been doing the business now for since 2022, but just decided to create the brand, finalize the brand, make it public, and create a social media website, all of that. We just started that recently, but yeah, I also do a talent management and athlete management business. So where we help players who are in the States, we bring them over to get them on professional teams, whether it's Big V or NBL 1. We have 10 clients, 10 now, which is crazy actually, I haven't told you. We have 10 now athletes from the States who are playing professional in Australia. And we also help young players from Australia go pursue college in the States as well. Like a lot of these opportunities are predicated on your network, your connections, and who you are as people. So like how you present yourself to a coach, how you present yourself to someone who may be 1 degree separation from the opportunity that you could only dream of. You never know the impressions you leave. So I realize like the best thing that I can do in the position that I'm now in as a 10-year pro or someone who's been living 10 years in Australia now is bridge that gap for players here and players in the States. Not just for the players that they are, but for the people that they are. So character is a huge component. We've only helped 10 players, but since we put the business out there, we've probably had like hundreds of people in the States who want to play pro, obviously, as you'd imagine. So we get direct messages and stuff all the time. But character is a huge aspect. And it's the same for, people like yourself who may one day go to the States to play college, like who you are, with the character that you have, how you play the game, how disciplined you are. That's what we put our name on and then, connect you with. My brother who helped me, he's now a vice president of a university. So he's 7 foot tall. He's probably the tallest vice president you'll find in the States. But, he's on the academic side, and he loves the idea of helping, foreign athletes come over to the States and have, live a dream and play college.
So what sort of things are you guys doing at the moment for junior athletes in Australia?
Well, we do camps. So, we do camps for younger athletes from, under 12s, under 14s, just to spread our wings and give back to, from a skill development aspect. But we also have created a program that's college-ready program. So, it's more of an intense interval training where we work with just select few athletes. Like we're going to run it from term to term. So it'll just be like a 10-week program of replicating what the college training will be like. And not if you're late, I won't make you do bear crawls on a footy field or anything, but more so just replicating the level of intensity and work rate. There's things like using heavy balls, like heavy basketballs with your finishing mic and drill, passing, powering through layups, 2 feet finishes, which every college does, but they don't do overseas yet. It's small things that you only can learn by, trial by fire, and we put you in that environment. And then we also will build a portfolio for you and put you in front of the college coaches that we have. And our connections mostly built out of the Northeast, around Pennsylvania, Maryland, D.C., Delaware. So that's a lot where our hub is, so to speak. So, we have several connections there. And a lot of college coaches who may not be able to capitalize on that recruiting pipeline. For those who don't know what that means, for college coaches in the States, they may have 2 or 3 regions that they've built really good connections with and character vouching for young athletes like yourself. And they're not always able to win over those recruits, those young players that they see being really huge assets to their team. And then they look at a country like Australia and they see, the Josh Giddeys, the Dyson Daniels, they see all the players playing, in college now. And, there's a certain level of high character athletes that come out of Australia it's unlike anywhere else in the world. And it's never been better. It's never been a brighter future for young athletes in Australia, especially basketball players who want to pursue overseas. So it's kind of easy for us to put you guys in those positions, yeah.
So what we'll do, I'll send out an email to your parents again later this week, just a bit of a recap again, but we'll link Dill's, you got a website now, don't you?
Yeah, website, social media.
Yeah. We'll link Dill's website, his socials. you guys are more than welcome to reach out to him, use him as a resource. Big thing of what we're trying to do with the academy is provide you guys with the tools and the resources and everything that goes with developing not only as an athlete but as a person. So where possible, we'll always provide the best opportunity for you guys because that's what the school's brought us on to do, right? Last question before you got to drive the team bus to Bendigo. Covered a fair few topics today, but if you could give one piece of advice, this is the most cliche question, but one piece of advice for all the kids here today, what would you give them?
The biggest bit of advice. I don't want to just say anything to say it. I want to think about it.
What would you tell your younger self if you could?
There you go.
Yeah. What would I tell my younger self? I would tell the younger self. I look at some, pictures of myself now. They're not digital. There were no iPhones when I was, growing up. Really, the middle school versions of me, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade. I see a young, shy kid who loved, sport, loved being a teammate, loved being, the friend, the little brother that he was. And I also see someone who was a little bit, in their shell, and I think that's natural for younger people to be in their shell a bit. So, the one thing I would probably tell myself is be a little more comfortable, be a little more confident in the person that you are. Like, you have people who care for you and people who love for you, and lean on them to help build that confident version of yourself, and then give that version of yourself to everyone that you can, like whether it's maybe it's someone new who's just joined the school or someone new who's just joined your team, and you can see that they may not have too many friends. Give that version of yourself to them, because that's the version of them that will come out in return. So I would say, be confident, lean into who you are, and enjoy all these times. These are some of the best times of your life. I kid you not. Like, I've played professional, I've traveled all over the world, and when I look back, the times I was, in high school and my journey in college was still to this day, and I'm not just saying this to say it, they were some of the best, most fun, best friendship times of my life. So be grateful for these moments, but also just be the best version, be a confident version of yourself. Be humble, listen, be present to people who've been in spaces ahead of you and who are giving you guidance, but at the same time, carry a genuine, confident version of yourself, I'd say.
I like it. All right, Harry. So part of what we're going to do with these workshops, Harry was in the gym first thing this morning, so I called him up. Each time we'll get one student to stand up, say a quick thank you, and we've got a little goodie bag for you today. And Harry's actually, I don't know what he was supposed to be in class, but he was working really hard on this. You can hand it to him and show everyone as well. But just if you can say a quick thanks and yeah.
Well, there you go. You
Oh.
got it. No, it was like a big deal for Sean and SRA to get Dillon down here today. So he took his time out of his day. So what they said, Dillon got off a plane last night, got to go somewhere today, and he made time for all of us. So we all got to say thank you in the end. So yeah, let's just.
No, thank you. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Show them. Have a look on the
That's
inside.
good. That's good.
Look at the inside.
Oh, wait a second. That's me all around.
Yeah, but have a look on the inside.
Oh, okay. This is good. Oh, wow. Thank
None
you.
of these guys have seen that, so.
Thank you. This is cool. That's cool. It's these are actually just repeated pictures of me around the border.
It took me 20 minutes to copy and paste.
That's awesome, man. I do appreciate it. That's really cool.
So
Some reading material for my drive, not for me, because I'll be for my girlfriend who'll be on passenger. Some reading material for her. She'll love this. Thank you.
So for whoever we call up next, that's the bar, a personalised Valentine's Day card. So,
No, that's cool. Thank you.
On behalf of myself and the students, as Harry said,
Yeah.
thank you very much
No,
for coming
appreciate
down today, mate.
Thank you. Thank you.